Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. Our Adam Schefter reports Cowboys offensive lineman Zach Martin will get a reworked contract, which pays him more than $36 million guaranteed over the next 2 years. James Harden of the 76ers is calling team president Daryl Morey a liar. Harden says he won't be part of an organization that includes Morey. ESPN's Kendrick Perkins.
When it comes down to James and you think about where he's at, if it was a real market for the money that he was trying to get, he probably wouldn't have opted into his contract.
Kendrick Perkins on NBA Today. The 76ers plan to have Harden in camp after he asked to be traded. Is the story behind the book and movie The Blind Side a lie? Former NFL offensive lineman Michael Orr says Leanne and Sean Toohey never adopted him. Orr is now asking a Tennessee court to end the conservatorship that he says he was tricked into signing. And you can now call him Professor Peyton Manning. He's going to be working in the School of Communication at Tennessee.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muse. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Tigers are back on the practice field. Saints score an improbable preseason win. We got Sean Fazan later. We got an update on Saints running back Kendre Miller. But let us start today, as we do every day like this.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, let's head out to the Ponderosa. Tigers were back on the practice field on Monday. Media got to watch about an hour of drills earlier today, and we got to see some 11-on-11, some 7-on-7. So kind of empty the notebook here and fill you in on what we saw today. First of all, when we were out there last week, we saw the Tigers in full pads for the first time. Today, on Monday, they took off a layer. So they were in I guess what you call shells, helmets, shoulder pads, and shorts. So we didn't see a ton of full contact, full go, as I think Brian Kelly has been it's been very evident throughout this camp that at times he is being very cautious with this team to make sure that they stay fresh when they need a day off, when they need to scale back a little bit. When we talked to Brian Kelly initially, he talked about sort of ramping up their work outside incrementally, an extra 15 minutes, an extra 20 minutes, kind of getting conditioned to the heat and the element that they're facing throughout this camp and very likely going to face in their opener against Florida State down in Orlando. So it's today was a day where they scaled back a smidge, at least from what we were able to see. Instead of our normal viewing period beginning at about 10:15, they let us in about 10:45 today. And when we went out there, they were working on punt team initially. Watched the primary punt team, and then they moved from punt team into 11-on-11s. What stands out about, if I could just, so I go sort of chronologically in my notebook, what stands out about the special teams units is the personnel. And this is something that Nick Saban was very big on when he was here, and it's something that Les carried on as well. And that is that they are going to play the best players on special teams. And last week when we got to watch punt team, the first punt unit from left to right on the line was Sage Ryan, Major Burns, Omar Spates, West Weeks, Greg Penn, Harold Perkins, Andre Sam. The personal protectors were Ovia Gofu, Marlon Martinez, Savion Jones. I mean, those are all dudes in the two deep that are going to play a lot. Well, today we got to watch the punt team. So again, last week we saw punt return. Last week we saw punt against Scout. Today we got to see punt return in the full unit. The three returners today, Aaron Anderson went first. And I don't mean to be repetitive because I know a lot of people are talking about Aaron Anderson. And he's the kid everybody knows. It was a 5-star from Edna Carr, signed with Alabama, basically missed all of last year at Alabama with injury, transferred to LSU. And look, he's diminutive. I mean, he's 5'8", 195 pounds thereabouts, I think is what they have him listed at. But he is unmistakable. I mean, his ability to cut and change direction, his straight line speed, it pops. Like, you notice him out there, and it's not just because he's a short guy amid a whole bunch of tall receivers. But it's noticeable. So Aaron Anderson was out there returning punts, as was Gregory Clayton as well. So that's apparently the order that they're going to go with punt return. And then the punt return unit that we saw across the line, again, you're going to notice a whole bunch of guys that they're counting on. Whit Weeks was out there with the punt return unit, who they like a lot, by the way. The freshman's West Weeks' brother, Whit Weeks, who at one point when they were running second-team defense in 7-on-7s, it was West and Whit Weeks as the inside backers, which is pretty cool to see them line up side by side. But they are very high on Whit Weeks. We got to see Ashton Stamps, who was rotating in a ton at corner. We'll get to more of that as well. We saw Chris Hilton on punt return. This is across the front line. I'm not talking about your returners. These are the guys that are going to be running back blocking for the returner. West Weeks was there as well. Noah Kane was there on first team punt return on the line. I mean, you're noticing Deuce Chestnut, Brian Thomas Jr. It's a lot of dudes out there that are going to play meaningful snaps for this team on offense and defense. And those are the guys. Javian Toviano was on that unit as well. So it's not like they're digging deep into the depth chart to find guys to just get them reps and get them out on the field. There's a sincere commitment on special teams. Let me run through what we got to see 11 on 11. By the way, they have, for the guys that are injured, and thankfully, knock on Formica, LSU's avoided major injuries so far in this fall camp. And that's a good thing. But when they do have guys that have been a little banged up and they work them off to the side with trainers, it's sort of their rehab group. Today we saw Josh Williams over there. He had a knee brace on. Greg Brooks was over there. Armani Goodwin and Landon Ibieta. So when we first walked in, those were the guys that were working with the rehab group. They were all in pads and they were all participating to some degree, but just limited in scope. Also, Mason Smith was not participating when they went full team drills as well, but he was out there. He was the only one of the linemen not wearing the hard knee braces, but Mason Smith was out there doing everything except the team drills. If you give me a second here, I'll run through what we got to see in the 11 on 11 first team offense. It was 11 on 11. And it was a 2-minute. So it's just, you were just moving down the field. So even if it's an incomplete pass, they still advance the ball. First team got 8 snaps. Second team got 8 snaps. This is how it went. First play, Deuce Chestnut locked down Malik Neighbors, and Jaden Daniels had to scramble. Second play, they threw a screen to Brian Thomas. Third play, it was an incomplete pass intended for Mason Taylor. Greg Penn on the coverage broke it up. Again, you're noticing a trend. The defense making plays, getting pressure, locking down receivers. A fourth play, they ran a reverse to Malik Neighbors that went for a short gain. Then the biggest gainer was a slant to Aaron Anderson. Hilton got a reception on the left side. Then they went to the middle to Aaron Anderson on a quick slant. And then they ran a bubble to Aaron Anderson. You get the drift of 8 plays. 3 of them went to number 1. Like, they are going to get that kid involved in the offense. This isn't just, if this is just media overblowing this, then Brian Kelly is going to great lengths to show us stuff when we're in there that he has no intention of using, which I just don't believe is the key or is the truth. with the limited running backs, Trey Bradford was running with the first teams, and with Greg Brooks out. Interestingly, we saw Omar Spates kick out to nickel, and then we saw Greg Penn and Harold Perkins at linebacker. So that was in that 2-minute drill for the first team. When the second team went out there, your second cornerbacks were LaTerrence Welch and Ashton Stamps. And y'all, later we got to see 7-on-7s, and Ashton Stamps was running as the whenever the first team defense someone needed a spell, the first guy that went in was Stamps. So freshman out of Rummel, he has worked his. Everyone asks all the time about Denver Harris with good reason. By the way, I did not see Denver Harris at practice today. I don't know if he was there and I just missed him, but he was certainly not participating on the 2 deep, and I did not see him on the sideline when we got to watch the team drills. But Ashton Stamps has clearly made an impact. Let's see. For the second team, this is how their offensive series went. Again, it was 8 snaps. Nussmeier had a completed pass to Kai Preon. On the second play, Ashton Stamps had a pass breakup against Kai Preon, and that was probably the defensive highlight. The way he closed on the route was a great play. Third play, Nuss scrambled. Fourth play, Nuss rolled right, completed it to Mac Markway. They ran a toss to the freshman Caleb Jackson on the fifth play. On the sixth play, Nussmeier was sacked. On the seventh play, they threw it deep into the end zone. Nussmeier threw it deep into the end zone. It was incomplete to number 14, the kid out of Texas whose name I never remember. Do you remember it off the top?
Kyle Parker.
Kyle Parker, thank you. It was intended for Kyle Parker in the end zone, whose name at some point in my career I'll be able to remember the kid's name. He's the new Hunter Fiducia. And then they on the eighth play, it was just a running play to Caleb Jackson. So it was interesting to go watch him play today. What I would say is, by the way, when we got to see 7-on-7s, the highlight of the day on 7-on-7s, when Ricky Collins ran third. And on the last play that the media saw, they ran a wheel route to John Emery. He emptied out of the backfield, wheeled to the left side, and just went. And Collins hit him with a beautiful pass. Emery made a great catch on his fingertips and housed it. So really a fantastic play. So, man, they're looking good. I think the biggest takeaways that you could find so far, the offense got off to a great start. Defense has caught up, especially as they've started to solidify that rotation in the secondary. And if I'm looking at a rotation in the secondary, it is pretty clear that your first two corners, Deuce Chestnut is your best corner. Zy Alexander is running opposite him. And the next two guys in are LaTerrence Welch and freshman Ashton Stamps, who has made a big impact. And they keep an eye on Aaron Anderson because they keep finding creative ways to get him involved with everything we get to see. Okay, there's your practice report. It's after further review. We're glad to have you with us here. We'll talk Saints and beat the Chiefs and probably on Sunday in the Dome. By the way, today is the day. Our show open, of course, every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Today, couple things. The Bud Light, LSU, Saints, and Southern aluminum bottles are now available at retailers. So if you're watching, you'll see the aluminum bottles right here. They look pretty awesome, as a matter of fact. Purple with the Eye of the Tiger logo and like a slash across them, too. Really cool logo. Today we begin our Garth Brooks contest. I told you last week, our friends at Mockler Beverage, they're giving away a pair of tickets in their suite for the Garth Brooks show coming up on September the 2nd, the Saturday before LSU plays Florida State. So they're giving that away on the Mockler Beverage social media. You can check it out. Well, they called me last week and said, hey, Matt, we want to give you an extra pair of suite tickets to give away on your show. And I was like, awesome. So this is what we're doing. We're calling it Friends in Low Places, the Friends in Low Places ticket giveaway. You got to make a video, 60 seconds or less. Do not go over a minute. I don't need a 10-minute production. 60 seconds or less, get creative. Just illustrate you with your friends in low places. The one thing you got to have, you can certainly use Garth Brooks music, get as creative as you want. You have to have a Bud Light in the video as well. After you make the video, post it on any of the social media platforms and tag Mockler Beverage and 104.5 ESPN. Just go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You'll see the posts on the 104.5 ESPN pages. You'll see them pinned there with all the instructions how to do it. We'll pick a winner 2 weeks from today, so the Monday before the concert. It's the Friends in Low Places ticket giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light. Drink easy in Death Valley, in the Superdome, all football season long with Bud Light. Okay, it's after further review. Speaking of the Dome, we're not going to break. When we come back, we'll head to the Dome, talk about the Saints win over the Chiefs yesterday, our big takeaway. Stick around here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. If you can believe it, while I know it's 100 degrees outside, the calendar says it is actually time to start preparing for fall. I was literally just less than an hour ago talking to Miss Teresa over at Clegg's, and she said, look, it's time to start getting ready for your fall vegetable gardens. They've got Johnny Naylor's seed, so if you want that fresh, homegrown flavor, they've got it there at Clegg's. They're starting to get some of those bedding plants in. I know, I get it. It's 100 degrees, but we're into the middle of August, y'all. Fall is just about upon us. So they've already got Buckbusters fall seed mix in stock. They've got deer corn as well. Mobucks, not yet. We'll let you know if they do get it in this week. But deer hunters, green thumbs, plant that fall vegetable garden. It is time to get to Clegg's Nursery. You need a little relief from summer. It's here at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local, Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
All right, Saints beat the Chiefs in the Dome on Sunday, 26-24. Improbable. But sometimes life goes this way, and as a husband and a father, and many of you understand this, of course, but today was my son's first day of school, and so he had to go get a haircut yesterday. So Erica, my wife, scheduled Drew's haircut for yesterday at noon. The Saints and Chiefs kicked off at noon. As many of you who follow me on Instagram may also know, that Sunday is the day that Drew and I go to the mall. I put him in the wagon, and I push him around the mall, and he rides every elevator at the mall. That's like his thing. He loves it, and he knows he does it on Sundays. And he doesn't really understand why and when he can't do certain things cognitively. So the Saints kicked off at noon, and I was at Sharky's. By the way, big shout-out to Sharky's in Baton Rouge. And how sweet is this? So Cynthia, who works at Sharky's on Highland Road, like Highland by I-10, she cuts Drew's hair, and he loves her. And she knew it was his birthday last month, and when we went for his haircut yesterday, she had a birthday present for him. It was a Mickey Mouse hat in a Mickey Mouse gift bag. That was so sweet. Anyway, shout out to Cynthia at Sharky's, and they're awesome over there. So if your kids need haircuts, go to Sharky's. Anyway, so we go to so kickoff. I'm at Sharky's, and I'm trying not. There's like, have you ever done this where you're trying not to? Have you ever been in the situation where a game's happening, you know it's happening, and you don't want the spoiler? Like at the airport, yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to just avoid everything.
Yeah, Paul, do you have a story of that?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, do you remember a time when you've done that?
I think it was during one of the Saints games last season. I recorded the game, and I basically just didn't take my phone out of my pocket the entire day.
So you did it successfully?
I did.
Okay. See, I'm way too addicted to my phone. And so then, of course, the Saints opening drive, bing, bang, boom, they score, and my phone is just exploding, right? And so then I had no shot. But anyway, I did DVR the game, so I watched it later than everybody else. So that's why, if you were looking for live tweets, that's why I was not live tweeting the game, because I was at Sharky's and then riding elevators in the mall trying to avoid exactly what was happening in the game. But I did manage to get around to it. But the Saints win. If you missed the game, Saints got up 17-0. Chiefs with 24 unanswered. Jake Haener led a 2-minute drive, got the Saints within 1. Of course, you're not playing for the tie in a preseason game, so the Saints go for 2. They don't convert. And the Chiefs could have run out the clock, man, and they ran twice. Saints called timeouts. There's about a minute left in the game. Chiefs could have run it on third down and then punted and milked the clock to just seconds remaining, and the Saints would have had no shot, but Andy Reid went for it, and they throw a pick. Kyle Phillips, the defensive lineman, puts out a paw, gets a pick, short field, and then there's Blake Grupe to kick the game winner as time expires. So Saints win in probably 26-24 the way that it went, but more importantly than the result when you're talking about preseason is what all transpired. So we can run through the game itself and what we liked and what we didn't like. First and foremost, you have to start with the efficiency of that first offense. Derek, it was exactly what you want. The Saints had a penalty on the opening kickoff, which was unfortunate, but they overcame it, and they went 12 plays, 85 yards, and got the touchdown on the pass from Derek Carr. Incidentally, it was odd though that obviously with the injury to Rashid Shaheed is why we got to see it's why we got to see a lot of wait, am I missing it? I thought it was Kirkwood who had the touchdown.
Yeah, from Carr, it was Kirkwood.
I'm looking at the box score. They don't have that in the box score. Anyway, whatever. So okay, there it is. Never mind. Yeah, so Kirkwood gets the touchdown. You wouldn't think Keith Kirkwood would have scored in the opening drive with the offense, but Juwan Johnson had a couple of really nice catches. Michael Thomas had a grab, which was a really well-thrown ball from Derek Carr. It was low, away from the defender. Thomas went down and got it. We saw them convert on their only third down. That was a pass to Juwan Johnson where they needed 8. They got 11. So I liked a lot. I thought Alvin Kamara ran awesome in the ball game. Looked like a very healthy, effective Alvin Kamara. If there was a disappointing part of the first offense, or when we got to see him, it was that Jamal Williams really didn't look great. 9 carries for 28 yards, a long of 8. And then Kendre Miller left with the knee injury, 4 carries, just 5 yards. The guys other than Kamara really didn't run very well. And although when Jameis went in, the offense went right down the field again and looked great, what we saw when Winston was in the ballgame was the offensive line started to give, that the backup offensive line units, and Winston was sacked 3 times. So, but Jameis, very efficient, 11 of 13, 92 yards, a touchdown. But to Jameis's credit, you try to coach the turnovers out of him, and you'd rather him eat it than throw it into coverage and give it away, which is what the Chiefs did a couple of times in the ballgame, and that what Jake Haener did also. But you have to like the fact that the Saints scored in their first 3 drives. You don't love that the defense, the backups on defense, ended up giving up that lead and giving up 24 points. But the first defense came up with a huge stop, which you had to love that as well. The Chiefs lined up to go for it on 4th down. They tried to run a trick play where Bell was, Mahomes went to the right side of the line, sort of as a fake, like he was calling a play, and Blake Bell went in motion, went right under the center, took the snap, and they stuffed it, which was awesome to see. So you got a nice turnover where Alontae Taylor tipped the ball, that Ugo Amadi came away with the pick, and Ryan Connolly I thought was a real bright spot as well. You're looking for linebackers to step up. How about Ryan Connolly? This is a guy who's got 4 years experience in the NFL. He wears number 43, if you don't recall. He led the team with 5 tackles. He had a tip ball at the line as well, which is a really nice play. So you're looking for guys that might have stood out. There was one worth mentioning. Overall, a nice day for the Saints. I wanted to see more from the rookies. Brzee didn't really flash at all. Neither did Isaiah Foskey, which you were kind of hoping to see. But maybe the biggest star was A.T. Perry. And, whenever the Saints drafted A.T. Perry, we talked about him. Muse pulled this day. This was the day after the draft. This is what we said when we talked about the Saints draft. This was our take here on A.T. Perry. The one spot where they got an absolute steal. Thief in the freaking night steal. It's A.T. Perry. Wake Forest had a huge offense. And the best receiver on that team the last 2 years was A.T. Perry. Almost 6'4", 200 pounds, ran a 4.47 40, which is good for that size, and had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at Wake Forest playing in that offense, catching balls from Sam Hartman where he was his favorite target. I don't know how or why A.T. Perry was on the board in round 6. All I know is that dude is huge. He can run. He is certainly got the skins on the wall, and the fact that you snagged A.T. Perry in round 6 is amazing to me. That's what we said the day after the draft. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, start fitting him for his gold jacket after one preseason game, but something that is notable in preseason is when you have a bunch of guys that are going to be working at insurance offices in a couple of weeks, and then there's a guy out there that looks better than all the guys that are going to be working at insurance offices in a couple of weeks. That's the guy that's usually going to make the team, is going to make a difference. A.T. Perry was that guy, and it was obvious. 6 targets, 6 grabs, had 70 yards and a touchdown. He looked awesome, and he showed you why. I don't know. Again, I don't know why A.T. Perry fell in the draft. The comment he made to reporters after the draft was there was some stuff, whatever. He was very ambiguous about it. I don't know what it is. I don't even care. I'm thrilled, actually, because the Saints got a steal in round 6 with A.T. Perry, and he showed you why. So Saints get a win. They'll go on the road this week, take on the Chargers in L.A., then they're back home for week 3 of the preseason against the Houston Texans. So we'll keep an eye on the Kendre Miller injury situation as we get more updates. We'll follow that. But the Saints win 26-24, and mostly you got to feel really good about the way the first unit's offense and defense looked for the Saints in the Dome on Sunday. All right, y'all. It is After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows, Windows, Doors, Siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Got to see Brandon and Adrian Holly this weekend over at Best Dress Ball. They were kind enough to invite Eric and I to sit with them at their table. So great fellowship with great friends to raise money for an awesome cause. And, I tell you all the time, when I talk about Relief Windows, yes, I'm talking about Windows, Doors, Siding, but really I'm talking about Brandon and Adrian Holly, awesome people that run that business. They're going to make sure you get exceptional service. And Relief Windows is rolling out their interior shutters. You can now get, of course, interior shutters to complement your beautiful replacement windows from Relief Windows. Get tons of info at the website, reliefwindows.com, or stop on by their showroom on Airline Highway in Prairieville, reliefwindows.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Let me knock out a quick break, come back, go around the SEC. Whenever Brian Kelly was hired, there was one coaching decision that a lot of people questioned, and evidence of why people were questioning that decision is kind of rearing its head a little bit, or at least did today. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Y'all, it's not too late. It's August the 14th. You got through the end of this month. If you want to take part in designing Gordon's next billboard, it's easy. Go to @GetGordon on any of the social media. @GetGordon on any of the social media platforms, and you could see how you can design Gordon's next billboard and win prizes valued up to $2,000. You know what to do. Go to getgordonbillboards.com. That's getgordonbillboards.com to get all the details on how you can design Gordon's next billboard and win up to $2,000 in prizes. So, any of the social media platforms, @GetGordon, or go to getgordonbillboards.com. As we say every single day, if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Get Gordon and get it done. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Call 888-8888. That's 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Man, I would love to poke fun at this. I wish I had some, witty knock or punchline. I actually just think it's really cool. Peyton Manning's going back to Tennessee as a professor. Did y'all see the story? Of course, Peyton was a great player. Still holds most of the career passing marks there in Knoxville. Career passing yards, career passing touchdowns. He, of course, was an NFL MVP 5 times, won a couple of Super Bowls, and he's going back to the College of Communications and Information. So he's going to be a professor of practice for the fall of 2023, and he's going to join select classes, it says here, during the academic year. As a featured expert, he'll work alongside the college's faculty to provide learning experiences for CCI students at Tennessee. Some of his appearances will be via video chat, but Peyton says that this fall he plans to be there in person. Now, Peyton Manning and his family live in Denver, but he has so many entities and businesses and spends a lot of time in Knoxville going to games and doing a lot of different functions. So clearly I don't think it's hard for Peyton Manning to find a place to stay for a bit in Knoxville, but that's just really cool. I mean, I think of it in terms like this. What if Peyton's 47. He's 47 years old. So, what if in 20 years Joe Burrow was like a professor in practice at LSU? That would be stinking cool. If you were a kid in 20 years in college and there's Joe Burrow teaching your class. I mean, Peyton doing this with the College of Communications, when you think about the fact that he's got his own production company with Omaha Productions, he's done Peyton's Places with ESPN. He does the Manning Cast on Monday Night Football. I mean, he's done so many commercials and endorsements. I mean, he's the king of all that stuff. So when you want to talk about a career in media or production or communications, there's few better to learn from than someone who's carved out the type of career Peyton has. And I mean, he's a legend at the university and all. So that is really cool. I mean, that's like a real world, that's like Billy Cannon being your dentist, right? I mean, think about that. This guy was a Heisman Trophy winner. He's a legend here. And he was a dentist. I mean, you could have gone and gotten your teeth cleaned by the Heisman Trophy winner and a number 1 overall pick. I mean, that's a really cool thing. So anyway, shout out to Peyton Manning. I just think that's really cool. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Sean Fazand will be here in less than an hour. He was in the Dome yesterday. We'll get Sean's takeaways, and hopefully we get another update from on Kendre Miller. I know Dennis Allen said sprain for Kendre Miller. They're expecting him to be ready for week 1. The Saints are going to look at running backs. If you missed the report earlier today, former LSU running back Darrell Williams, one of the guys the Saints are planning to work out. And look, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You're going to miss Alvin Kamara for 3 weeks. Kendre Miller is a question mark right now. So after Jamal Williams, the only running back you have is Ellis Merriweather, who looked pretty good in the preseason game, but you got to have at least a camp body, if not someone who can help you early in the season while Kamara's on suspension. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Florida Gators.
No surprise here, but Billy Napier has named Wisconsin transfer quarterback Graham Mertz as the starter. He beats out Jack Miller. They've been competing for spring and the early part of fall. While Wisconsin, Mertz was the starter for 3 seasons. This one is going to sting for LSU fans a bit. John Ehret, 4-star defensive back Wardell Mack, one of the top-rated players in Louisiana. He is committed to the Gators over Florida State, LSU, and Texas. Of course, Corey Raymond, Billy Napier, Jabbar Jalouk all spearheaded that recruitment, all 3 with ties to Louisiana.
The Auburn Tigers.
4-star defensive lineman T.J. Lindsey, the latest blue-chip pickup for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. Picked Auburn over Bama, Miami, Texas, and Texas A&M. Lindsey joins 8 other defensive players as commits for 2024. He's the 34th best defensive lineman in the country, the 45th best player ranked in Florida.
Texas A&M!
Tough break for Jimbo Fisher in that offense. Sophomore tight end Donovan Green has reportedly torn his ACL during a closed scrimmage this weekend. Our buddy Carter Carls, who's now covering A&M for Gig 'em 247, reported the news. 6'4", 245-pounder. He was entering his second season there. Signed in the same class as did Jake Johnson a year ago. So with senior Max Wright and sophomore Jake Johnson, the Aggies have depth at tight end, but still a blow. Green was the 5th-ranked tight end in the country when he signed with the Aggies a year ago.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Alshon Jeffrey is going to be recognized by the university next month. Jeffrey, who wore number 1 during his time with the Gamecocks, he's set to become the 6th South Carolina player to have his jersey retired by the program. Last season, Jadeveon Clowney had his number 7 retired by the program. It is worth noting it is a jersey and not a number, so players can still continue to wear the number, just the jersey is on them, similar to what LSU does.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
And Vanderbilt revealed new football uniform combo and helmet that it'll use during the 2023 season. It's plain black jersey with white numbers, gold pants, black and white stripe down the side. New helmet is gold. Contains new Vanderbilt V logo in white on the sides with white stripe across the top. Paul, do me a favor. I need you to pull up that uniform. It's on Vandy's Twitter. You can check it out. There's a point I'd like to make about Vanderbilt's new uniform. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends Gulf Coast Office Products online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you get with our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. Again, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, North Shore, Lafayette, the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the ULL Raging Cajuns. Our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products support the home teams, so support them as well. Gulf Coast Office Products. I wanted to just a quick thought on the Wardell Mack thing there. So Wardell Mack, if you're not familiar, he's a corner out of John Ehret, New Orleans. He is, depending on what recruiting service you look at, either the second or third ranked player in Louisiana for this recruiting cycle for 2024, and he just committed to Florida. So when Brian Kelly was hired, the one guy on staff that he didn't retain that everyone most certainly thought he would was Corey Raymond. For all the reasons we all know. Godfather of DBU, LSU player, former LSU Tiger, all the stuff that we all know. And when Billy Napier went to Florida, obviously with his ties in Louisiana, and he brought Corey Raymond with him, and his ties and just the skins on the wall he has recruiting and developing defensive backs. And then you have Jabbar Jalouk as well, who, of course, is a New Orleans icon and was a high school coach in New Orleans, so was going to have plenty of ties there in the city as well. You were going to lose guys. Like, Florida was going to come in and be able to snag guys out of this state, and that's a big one that you really would have liked to have gotten in Wardell Mack at a position that you're trying to retool. So that stings. I will say, because I don't want to be hypocritical, and I say this all the time, yes, if you're going to miss out on a player, you'd love for him to go a place where you're never going to have to see him again, let alone a place that's in your conference, and a team that you might very well end up playing every single year. But as I always say, you're not going to get everybody. So get 25 or thereabouts players that are really good at positions of need and keep growing your roster. And if you're going to celebrate when LSU plucks players out of another state, like the 5-star wide receiver they just got out of Texas over the weekend, then you have to also understand that there's going to be times where there are players in Louisiana who leave to go out of state. So there is a give and take there. And while, yes, you'd love to be able to keep a highly rated guy from your state in-state, not lose him to an SEC school, especially to a guy that was your defensive backs coach for a long time that a lot of people loved and wanted to see stay. This is the trade-off. Again, I'm not, please don't misunderstand. I am not sitting here throwing darts. The job Brian Kelly has done has been nothing short of remarkable. He had a top 10 recruiting class last year in his first full class, and he is working on a monster class where if you look at, again, depending on the rating service, like they have the second most ESPN 300 prospects committed for 2014 or 2024 behind only Georgia. So they're doing remarkably well. But it's worth noting that this was the one thing that you were looking at when Corey Raymond left and had Billy Napier and ties to the state. You went, there's probably going to be guys in this state who pick Florida. And thankfully now into the third recruiting cycle, that's the first real notable one. But it's notable. Wardell Mack picked the Gators today. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Love telling you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Tell you all the time about the 9 different IIHS top safety picks. Man, I tell you what, if you want to drive a stylish vehicle, great German engineering, manufactured right here in the U.S. of A. at their Tennessee plant, you get everything. And you get a safe vehicle. So you know whenever your wife, son, daughter, husband, whoever, people you care about are buckled in a Volkswagen, they're driving around one of the safest vehicles on the road. I get that peace of mind every time I get in my Atlas Cross Sport. When Erica gets in her Atlas, we strap Drew into his car seat in the back. I get that peace of mind every time I drive a Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, southpointvw.com, South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, y'all, it is after further review. Glad to have you aboard with us here. You can always email the show. It's Matt at 1045ESPN.com. You can tweet me at Matt Moscona or X me at Matt Moscona. You can tweet me at Matt Moscona or X me at Matt Moscona.
Hey, Twitter. Oh, no, not Twitter. Hey, X world.
Thank you, George. Or you can always text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Quick break. When we come back, Muso, Paulie, and I on Friday told you what we were watching for Saints Chiefs. Now we'll go over what we learned from Saints Chiefs as we wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Well, speaking of Saints Chiefs, yesterday, whenever I got home from gallivanting about with Drew, his haircut, and taking him to the mall and everything, settled in to watch the game. Actually, when we were leaving the mall, I punched up my DoorDash app, ordered Pluckers. 10 wings, cheese fries, had to do it. 5 Gold Rush, 5 garlic parm, had my cheese fries as well, had a few cold Bud Lights at the house, sat there and watched the Saints at my house while I binged on Pluckers wings. It was glorious. The only thing better, literally the only thing better than sitting at home to watch the Saints eating my Pluckers wings and my cheese fries would have been sitting at Pluckers eating my wings and cheese fries and ice cold Bud Light. That would have been a great place to do it. And if you can, get on by Pluckers. Remember, a lot of people have fantasy drafts as well. So you want to have your fantasy football draft, you can do it at Pluckers. Give them a call ahead. They always have great specials for your team, for your whole team while you're there doing your fantasy football draft as we inch closer to the NFL season. You're watching football on TV, Pluckers. You like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
All right, Saints did beat the Chiefs Sunday. That's great, man. But who are the Chefs? 26-24. By the way, was that our poll question on Friday? Did we make that the poll question? Did you see that?
I did make it the poll question.
You did or did not?
I did.
So shout out to everybody who flooded the text line. Paulie and Musso did not remember the Snickers commercial, which I went and looked up, was actually from 1997, which I sort of understand, Muse, why you wouldn't have seen or remembered that one. But it was a great piece of I don't know, a theater where it's lasted a long time. It sort of had this cultural significance that lasted a long time. People still refer to them as the Chefs. Patrick Hemel said he knows it. Steve Savoy, Damon Hinderberger, Thomas White, Matt French. He said you need brain arcade behind Master Control for age-related commercials. Josh Giraldo, Farron Thibodeau, Ryan Roberts. Anyway, so shout out to everybody who did flood the text line. Be like, Matt, you're not alone. I do remember the Snickers, great googly moogly Chef's commercial. So what was the result?
74.5% said they did not remember it or did not know it. Yeah.
Twitter aging down. How did you word the question?
Do you know the Who Are the Chefs Snickers commercial?
Okay. All right. Hit the music, Muse. Here we go. We on Friday, we went around the room and we talked about what we were going to watch for Saints and Chefs. So what did we learn? Muse, kick us off.
I wanted to see Jake Haener. We'd heard so much about Haener throughout camp, the early part of the camp. And mixed bag there early, right? Didn't start out great. Had the miscommunication on the back shoulder, threw an interception, but led the 2-minute drive, ended up with a touchdown pass to Ellis Merriweather, and, of course, ultimately leads them back with the win. So keep an eye on it more, I think, going throughout the rest of the preseason game. Got to see him for a whole half, but that was pretty cool, too.
Paulie.
And I was looking at the other quarterback, the starting one, Derek Carr. He went 6 for 8, 70 yards passing. He drove a first drive touchdown. Excuse me.
Got it.
12 plays, 80 yards. So for a first score, so that means inevitably the Saints are going to the Super Bowl.
Words are hard, Paul.
They are.
Yeah, all the 17-0 tweets that started popping up on my timeline while I was sitting there.
It's facts. That's how it works.
Well, first of all, what I said was no injuries over and over and over again, and then of course Kendra Miller did get hurt. But I said I was watching Isaiah Foskey. We talked about the rookies. Some of you pointed at Brzee, Haener. I said, look, they used a high second-round pick on Foskey. They need someone to rush the passer opposite Cam Jordan. Sometimes guys are quiet in practice, but they're loud in the game. I think A.T. Perry qualifies for that, doesn't he? So I was kind of looking at Foskey to see how he was going to do in this ball game, and he was virtually non-existent. He played right end. I played almost the whole second half. He wears number 55. I had my eye trained on him because I was wanting to see something from him, and I'm checking to see. I don't believe he even recorded a stat. So Isaiah Foskey, a disappointing debut.
I was also watching Carl Granderson and Peyton Turner as they battled it out for the DN spot opposite Cam Jordan. Granderson got the start, so, I mean, if that means anything to you, you can file that away. I agree. I think it does. But Peyton Turner, pretty disruptive in the game, did register the 2 tackles, but had the hit on the quarterback out of the 2 of those guys. So I think that's far, far, far from over.
I was looking at the Saints' first-round pick, Brian Brzee.
Yeah.
He, like Foskey, didn't really stand out. He also didn't record a tackle or any stats. Didn't really notice much of him, but a little disappointing.
Very disappointing that neither guy recorded it. Your top 2 picks didn't record a stat. And my other what to watch was the receiver position, because I've been pretty adamant here that I think there are 2 locks to make the team as receivers. It's Olave and Michael Thomas. Again, I think Traquan's they're obsessed with him. I think he's going to make the team, right? I think Rashid Shaheed's going to make the team. There's a greater chance they do than don't. But that means at least one spot is open, and I think there is a possibility for guys to step up. So we always see guys who have a good practice, but preseason games are always going to weigh more heavily than practice. If you flash in practice, you go to the preseason game, and you pee down your leg, it ain't going to work well for you. But the opposite is also true. And so A.T. Perry is a guy that we haven't heard from really at all in the practices. Who was your leading receiver? 6 catches on 6 targets, 70 yards and a touchdown. You understand why the day after the draft I sat here and told you they got to steal like a thief in the night in round 6. He was a super productive dude in one of the nation's best offenses. Yes, A.T. Perry can play, and he took a gigantic step not only toward making the team, but announcing himself as someone that could be an impact guy on this offense. That is what we learned. Saints and Chefs. That is, you spell it. Great, googly moogly. Anyway, if you don't know it, look it up. Snickers, Chefs commercial, 1997. Look it up, kids. It's worth it. All right, it's after further review. Sean Fazan was in the Dome. He'll be with us in 30 minutes. When we come back, AP Top 25 is out. We know where the Tigers are. What else did we observe from that Top 25? We'll get to it next after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Today I mentioned first day back to school. Dropped Drew off. And so many of you parents dropped your kiddos off at school last week or this week for the first day. If you have not done so yet, hey, look, you went and got their backpack. You got their new lunchbox. You got all the notebooks and the pens. And you got everything you need. The new uniforms, the sneakers. You got everything they need. Did you get their eye exam? Make sure you take your kiddo for back-to-school eye exams. Everybody should have an annual eye exam. So make sure you take your son or daughter to the Williamson Eye Center. There are 7 convenient locations around Greater Baton Rouge. So find the location nearest you, williamsoneye.com. That's williamsoneye.com. I know I talk all the time about refractive procedures, and that's so important. LASIK, PRK, lens replacement. You can find out all that. You want to see 20/20 without contacts or glasses? It's possible. But make sure your kiddos get that annual eye exam here with Back to School at the Williamson Eye Center. Online, williamsoneye.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The association representing district attorneys across the state says they have a plan in place to challenge the clemency hearings scheduled to begin in October. It could involve a lawsuit filed to block the hearings from happening. Hear more on when they say that could happen in a last-ditch move to keep the state's worst offenders where they are now. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports the Cowboys and offensive lineman Zach Martin agree on a restructured deal that will pay him more than $18 million for each of the next 2 seasons. Martin had been holding out from training camp. Meanwhile, free agent running back Ezekiel Elliott says on social media today he will sign with the Patriots. As expected, Colts running back Jonathan Taylor returned to camp today. He's still on the PUP list with an ankle injury and still unhappy about his contract. ESPN's Dan Graziano.
He still wants a new contract. If they don't want to give it to him, he wants to be traded, and I think this thing is far from over. Just because he returns to Indianapolis and rejoins the team this week, I don't think means that this situation is resolved.
Dan Graziano. Cardinals tight end Zach Ertz now cleared to practice. He's coming back from torn ligaments in his left knee last November. Shortstop Wander Franco of the Rays goes on the restricted list today. He'll miss at least the next 6 games. He's being investigated by MLB.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Little breaking news here in the NFL. We are talking a lot about running backs, as you might imagine. Injury to Kendre Miller. Saints are kind of looking around. Ezekiel Elliott, one of the biggest name free agents out there, if not the biggest name free agent among the running backs, Zeke and Fournette. Well, Zeke is no longer a free agent. Breaking news here. Ezekiel Elliott has posted on social media that he is signing a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots. So Zeke headed up to Boston there. Bill Belichick and that Patriots offense, which was abysmal a year ago. They didn't even really have an offensive coordinator, anybody running that offense. But they'll get a veteran back there in Zeke, and we'll see if he's able to lend any help to a young Mac Jones and trying to get New England back on track in a brutally difficult division with Buffalo probably is the odds-on favorite there. Miami, a lot of people's dark horse Super Bowl team. And then you look at the Jets bringing in Aaron Rodgers where the expectations are. Very quickly, New England has gone from a team that dominated that division for the better part of 2 decades to dead last. It's funny how success can be fleeting in the NFL, even for a team that is the greatest dynasty, I would argue, we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. But just like that. But Zeke headed up to New England. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. LSU defense coordinator Matt House met with reporters over the weekend. 1 hour from right now, so to start hour 3, I want to delve into a lot of what Matt House had to say about his defense. So we're going to get into that again 1 hour from right now. Today, Monday, we learned the AP Top 25 is out. Again, take the preseason top 25 for what it's worth. It's just a little number that's going to be next to your name as you start the season. I will argue that to a degree, there is a moderate amount of significance, if for nothing else, because of formulating inherent bias. And that does matter for a college football where a committee of human beings in a room with their inherent biases decide which teams are going to play in the 14 playoff. So, yeah, I mean, to a degree, what little number is next to your name as you start the season does, to a degree, matter, because if you're in the top 4, wherever you're ranked, and you don't lose, or someone starts behind you and you finish with the same record, chances are you're going to be ahead of them, that they're not going to overtake you. So, to some degree, that it does matter, but for what it's worth, if you're LSU, handle your business, and it really doesn't. Tigers are preseason number 5, so that's where LSU will start in the preseason opener against Florida State. The Seminoles came in at number 8, so it'll be a 5 versus 8 matchup. LSU, although they're 5th in the country, they're 3rd in the SEC. Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Ohio State 3, then there's Alabama 4, and LSU 5. So Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Bama, LSU is your top 5, followed by USC, Penn State, Florida State, Clemson, and Washington round out the top 10. Now, Texas is there at 11, and for the life of me, I don't understand it. We've been over this so many times. Texas is this year in a very similar spot that A&M was a season ago, when A&M was a preseason top 10 team, really on the backs of their fantastic recruiting class, their all-time recruiting class, and that was a team that went from being unranked to preseason top 10 to finishing unranked. Texas went from unranked, now they're preseason 11, and we'll see how they finish this season, but suffice to say, I am not very bullish on the Texas Longhorns this season. We've talked about them before. They have one 10-win season since 2009 when they went to the national championship game and lost to Alabama. They have one 10-win season. One. Steve Sarkisian, despite being at Washington, Southern Cal, and now Texas, has never had a 10-win season. Forgive me if I'm not a believer in these Longhorns and their horrendously overvalued head coach. The team right behind them, however, I do believe is the team worth watching, and that's Tennessee at number 12 for a lot of reasons we've discussed. Tennessee, yes, they have to play Alabama and Georgia. They get Georgia at home, and that's even if they lose at Alabama. Tennessee, if they are what they started to show they could be a year ago, even if they lose in Tuscaloosa, could have Georgia at home in the second to final playing date for a chance to win the SEC East. So Tennessee is one to circle and say if you're looking for, I don't know if preseason number 12 makes you a dark horse, but someone outside of that top group that everyone is sort of considered as the group that the champion will come from, Tennessee is the one I would circle and tell you, look out for them. Every year, there's always a team that is preseason top 10 that finishes the season unranked. Last year it was Texas A&M. Year before that was Miami. Phil Steele comes on with us every year and talks about this, how every year there's a team that starts preseason top 10 and finishes the season unranked. Similarly, there's a team that starts the season unranked and finishes in the top 10. A year ago, that was TCU. So if I'm looking at who that team might be, it would be easy if Texas were one spot higher. But Texas is 11, so they're just outside of the top 10. I would actually look then at number 10, Washington. If you're looking at a team that's starting the season in the top 10 that could finish the season unranked, it's Washington. And by the way, I like Washington. I like Michael Penix. He led the Power 5 in passing a year ago. I think he's a very good quarterback. There's a lot to like about Washington. But there is this idea shared by a lot of people that the Pac-12 is going to cannibalize itself. And I tend to agree with that assertion. Southern Cal with Caleb Williams is going to be very good. Utah has won the league back-to-back years. You do have Michael Penix there at Washington. Oregon State under Jonathan Smith, what a resurgence that program has had. Their preseason ranked number 18. So when you look at Washington's schedule, they open up the season at home against Boise State. Then they've got Tulsa. They go at Michigan State, so a non-conference road game against a Big Ten opponent. They're home against Cal. They go to Arizona, who's better there under Jed Fish. Then they get Oregon at home, Arizona State at home, then the gauntlet through the end of October and November. At Stanford, at USC, home against Utah, at Oregon State, home against Washington State. If you go 8-4 in that league, you're unranked. With that schedule, if you're 8-4, like, could I find 4 losses? Boise State, at Michigan State, Oregon, at Southern Cal, Utah, at Oregon State. Like, could I find 4 losses for Washington? Yeah, I could. So if you're looking for a team that starts in the top 10 that may finish unranked, my money on the team that might be that totally faceplant would be the Washington Huskies. But really, the team I would love to wager that on would be Texas, because that's what Texas does every year. That'd be an easy play. And the other thing, too, is a team that is unranked that could very well finish the season in the top 10. Again, I'm not necessarily predicting this, saying that it will happen, but I would look at Kentucky. Now, remember, Kentucky won 10 games just 2 years ago. So they're capable. It was a disappointing year for Kentucky last year not to follow up their 10-win season with more success. But here, like we always say, look at the schedule. Kentucky goes Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, at Vanderbilt, home against Florida, which is a winnable game. They're at Georgia, which they'll probably lose. So conceivably, you're talking about which should be 5-1 at that point. You're home against Missouri, where you'll be favored. Could be 6-1. You get Tennessee at home. After an open date, you play Missouri, open date, Tennessee. Then you got to go to Mississippi State. You got Bama at home. And then you're at South Carolina, at Louisville to wrap up. Again, not predicting it for Kentucky, but like the road schedule is completely manageable. Their road games are Vanderbilt. I mean, Georgia, you're not going to win that game either way. So, but Vanderbilt, Georgia, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and then your Louisville game as your rivalry game. Yeah, if there's a team again that's unranked. Again, you're reaching. You're looking for something that's improbable, like TCU a year ago. Kentucky bringing in Devin Leary at quarterback. They've got a bunch of 4th and 5th year starters. They're a veteran team again with a good quarterback. So that would be my pick if you're looking for someone sort of off the radar that could be the unranked team to finish top 10. I would say keep an eye on Kentucky. See, here's the thing. Somebody in the SEC East has got to finish second. So it's like we keep talking about how bad the East is. And it's true. Like, it's Georgia, and it's mostly because nobody can compete with Georgia. It's Georgia and then everybody else. Now, I tend to be higher on Tennessee this year. I need a little bit of validation that last year wasn't just a fluke, but I kind of feel like Josh Heupel's offense is going to be what Lincoln Riley's offense has been, where you are going to take new pieces, plug it in, and it's going to continue to churn, and they're going to put up a lot of points. So I'm higher on Tennessee than most, but somebody is going to finish second in that division. Like, somebody is going to go 6-2 in the league and finish second behind Georgia. So Kentucky and Tennessee are the best bets probably to do that. And if Kentucky can nip Tennessee, and again, that game is at home after a bye, then Kentucky could poise themselves to be that team this year. So AP Top 25 is out. LSU number 5, 5 versus 8 matchup. LSU and Florida State, the opener there in Orlando. All right, y'all. It's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Sean Fazand of Fox 8 down in New Orleans here in 17 minutes from right now. He was in the Dome. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, big recruiting win for Brian Kelly over the weekend. Landed a 5-star wide receiver. I want to talk about it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
100 degrees. It's 4:13 p.m. It says it right there on my screen. 100 degrees in Baton Rouge. 100. The air temperature. Not the heat index. The air temperature. You're probably sick of hearing that every day because we all know it. It's hot outside. What you can't have happen is your AC go kaput. Not only is that uncomfortable, that could be unsafe. If you have trouble with your AC, call River City's 1 Hour Air. I'll give you the number. 752-0001. 752-0001. 752-0001. A trained technician from River City's 1 Hour Air will come out, tell you every day they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. Nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra to come out nights, holidays, weekends. You want someone who's going to be fast, who's going to be affordable, who's going to do it right the first time, give you excellent customer service. That's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Well, breaking news here from Nick Underhill, New Orleans Football. Injury to Kendre Miller on Sunday in the Dome. The Saints were looking out for new running backs. They worked out Kylan Hill, the former Mississippi State Bulldog. They did not sign Kylan Hill. The Saints also worked out former LSU Tiger Darrell Williams, and per Nick Underhill, the Saints have signed Darrell Williams. So another former LSU Tiger coming through the pipeline into the New Orleans Saints organization. So Darrell Williams, first 4 years of his career with the Kansas City Chiefs, last year played in 6 games with the Arizona Cardinals, and now will play for the hometown New Orleans Saints, another local guy. I mean, you look at Jontre Kirkland, local guy. A year ago, it was Tyrann Mathieu, Jarvis Landry, both from the New Orleans area. Foster Moreau this year, and now Darrell Williams as well. Just bringing all the New Orleans area kids on home. So Sean Fazan's with us here in 11 minutes. I'll ask Sean what he knows about Kendre Miller's injury. We'll talk about Darrell Williams and everything from last night's game and the Saints moving into week 2 of the preseason. Again, Sean Fazan a little more than 10 minutes from right now. LSU got a big big-time commitment over the weekend. DeCorian Moore, a 5-star receiver for the class of 2025, picked the Tigers. He's out of Duncanville, same place where LSU, of course, went and got Caden Durham, the running back, a week ago. They were hard after Colin Simmons. What a high school team. Oh, my God. It's overwhelming. But he is a 5-star for the class of 2025. Again, so he's a rising junior. And if you run through the stats, DeCorian Moore, in the composite, the number 11 player nationally, the number 2 player in the state of Texas, the number 3 wide receiver in the country. So you were talking about a massive recruit. If you look at LSU's all-time commitments and recruits, DeCorian Moore would be ranked 18th all-time among LSU signees, provided he makes it to signing day. 1 spot ahead of Al Woods, 1 spot behind Ben Wilkerson, 2 spots behind Harold Perkins. He's ahead of Terrace Marshall, John Emery, Eli Ricks, Michael Clayton, Jarvis Landry, tons of big-time signings. So this would be a major one. You've got the commitment. Now you got to get to signing day. Let's be very clear. Today is August the 14th of 2023. You got to get to November of 2024 for DeCorian Moore to sign. But most importantly, when I saw this and I was looking at some of his quotes, the thing that to me stood out the most was when DeCorian Moore effectively said, why, if you're a receiver and you're not going to LSU, you're doing it wrong. You've got the list wrong if LSU's not at the top. And that to me spoke volumes. If you go to the NFL's Twitter, the official NFL Twitter account right now, they have a post and it's Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and they're shooting a TV commercial, and it says coming soon. So I don't know what the commercial is going to be. It's going to be some NFL commercial, but it's 2 guys. It says coming soon to a commercial near you. And it's Jefferson and Chase, 2 guys from the New Orleans area who played at LSU, and they're the 2 best receivers in the NFL right now. I mean, Justin Jefferson was the number 2 overall player in the NFL 100 this year. I mean, that's incredible. This speaks volumes. ESPN does its positional rankings. They just named LSU wide receiver U. I mean, the amount of talent LSU is pumped into the NFL at that position, even oddly, even during all the Les Miles years, as inept as LSU was at the forward pass, they still recruited and developed receivers, guys who could block, who knew the route tree, who transitioned well to the next level. Even before Jarvis and Odell popped their first few years in the league, there were still Reuben Randall and Russell Shepard and James Wright is the example everybody used. Didn't catch a pass his last year, still was drafted in the 7th round and played in the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. But more than anything, when I saw this, I started to see all the tweets come from people like, oh, I thought Brian Kelly couldn't recruit, da-da-da-da-da. That whole narrative. Every time Brian Kelly lands a big-time recruit, that storyline is unearthed again. I thought Brian Kelly couldn't recruit. And it's something I said when Brian Kelly was hired. But on a day like this, I can actually illustrate it. It's not that Brian Kelly couldn't recruit. It's that Notre Dame would never allow Brian Kelly to recruit DeCorian Moore to South Bend. And I'm not picking on that young man because he is the overwhelming majority of high school athletes that are college qualifiers that have grades and an ACT score and are going to play in college and go to college and hopefully be great students and get a degree and all that stuff. But Notre Dame is such an elite academic institution, And it puts a premium on that standard and doesn't budge off that standard for athletes. And that's okay. Again, I'm not saying value football more than academics. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is, if that's your standard, you are recruiting in a much shallower pool. You are fishing in a shallow talent pool. If you're looking for 5-star athletes who also happen to be the most elite academic students in the country, those are few and far between. So it's not that Brian Kelly couldn't recruit. It's he couldn't recruit that player to Notre Dame. Y'all, Notre Dame's all-time football recruits. This is from 24/7 Sports, okay? And this is by rating, and not like a 5-star ranking or where you're ranked. This is every player is assigned a rating, right? You are rated based on your skill set. Notre Dame's all-time football recruit list looked like this. The highest-rated recruit ever to sign with Notre Dame was Jimmy Clausen in 2007. Second highest ever was Jalen Smith. Third highest ever is Manti Te'o. All Brian Kelly recruits, by the way. Sam Young, Aaron Lynch, Michael Floyd, and then Ishaq Williams, who was a 4-star. You understand? That's 6 5-stars. Like, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, look at LSU by contrast. Leonard Fournette, Russell Shepard, Derek Stingley, Early Doucette, Lyle Collins, Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson was the 6th highest ranked recruit ever to LSU. The 6th highest ranked recruit ever to Notre Dame is Ishaq Williams. Do you understand my point? You want me to keep going? Anthony Johnson, Eric Gilbert, Ryan Perilou, Ruben Randall, Terrence Tolliver, Marcus Spears, Marquise Hill, Craig Lawson. Kevin Tolliver's like the 20th highest rated recruit ever to LSU. He'd be like the 2nd highest rated recruit ever at Notre Dame. I haven't even gotten to Harold Perkins, Ben Wilkerson, DeCorian Moore, who just committed, Al Woods, Terrace Marshall, Xavier Carter, John Emery, Eli Ricks, Michael Clayton, Jarvis Landry, Malachi Dupree, Lance Hurd, Jacoby Stevens. I'm still in the 5-stars. There's Mason Smith, like 35th on the list. Kayshawn, Tyron Johnson, Glenn Dorsey, did he stink? College Football Hall of Famer. I mean, Clifton Garrett, Christian Fulton, Marcel Brooks, Deshaun Womack. Y'all, I'm still in the 5-stars. That's the difference. It's not that Brian Kelly couldn't recruit. It's Notre Dame has a standard by which so many of those elite guys, even if they wanted to go to Notre Dame, can't. And this is why Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since 1988 and never will again until and unless they lower that standard. And they may never do it. And if they don't, that's fine. It is totally fine to say we are an academic institution first, and we are going to put a premium on that caliber student. And if they happen to be great athletes, good. We'll win a lot of games with them. But we're not going to bend that standard. If that's your standard, okay. But then you have to lower your expectation on the football field. Because if that's your standard, you can't compete with LSU and Alabama and Georgia and all the programs that are investing that amount of resource into getting the best players in the country every year on their campus. That's the point. That's the point about DeCorian Moore. It ain't that Brian Kelly learned how to recruit. It's that he just couldn't get that kid to Notre Dame. It's why Brian Kelly took this job, because he can get that kid to LSU. And it's not about taking a bunch of dumb jocks. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to flip it. What I'm saying is you can be a really smart guy. You can have the grades and the ACT score and all that stuff, but still not be good enough to get into a prestigious academic institution that only has 8,000 undergrads. But that's a Notre Dame problem. That's not an LSU problem. And Notre Dame's lack of championship success wasn't a Brian Kelly problem, as I've said for 2 years now. That was a Notre Dame problem and will be a Notre Dame problem for Marcus Freeman and whoever follows. That's their issue. Has been and will continue to be. All right. It's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Sean Fazan, Fox 8 New Orleans, will join us next. Stick around.
AFR.
Brought to you by ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com, electric vehicle chargers for your home or your office building. I want to remind y'all, State of Louisiana has grant programs, part of a federal grant system right now. So if you own a commercial building, man, it is so worth getting in touch with my friends at ProCharge. This is part of Terrio's ownership group as well, so he's involved there. ProChargeEV.com. Listen, I don't care if you drive an EV, if you like an EV, it doesn't matter. The point is, people are. The manufacturers can't even keep up with demand right now. You see more and more electric vehicles on the road. Well, they got to have somewhere to charge. And if you have an EV charger at your office building, it could be an amenity for employees, an amenity for residents at your apartment complex. It could be an amenity for customers to your business, or it could be a revenue generator. Tap to pay options, and you get paid every single month. Learn more. ProChargeEV.com. That's ProChargeEV.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Saints won the preseason opener against the Chiefs. Dennis Allen afterward had these thoughts about the Houdat's getting a win in comeback fashion against Kansas City.
Our first units, both offensively and defensively, really came out strong and played well. It was good to see,
the offense, first drive of the game, take it right down the field, 11 plays, get a touchdown. Obviously with a few new pieces, it was good to see Derek out there. It was good to see Mike get a catch across the middle, so there were some good things that happened there. I thought our second series offensively, again, we were able to take the ball down the field and get points. And then really, honestly, I thought it kind of went downhill from there. I don't think we executed very well for a good chunk of the game. And then, obviously there at the end with the kind of 2-minute drive, and then we get the takeaway there at the end of the game to seal it.
Sean Fazan, Fox 8 in New Orleans, was in the Dome. Good enough to join us for a couple minutes here. How are you, man?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Doing very well. If you had one big overriding takeaway from the win over Kansas City, what would it be?
The start was quite good. I thought the opening drive was when I was watching it live, it obviously looked good. And then when I went back and watched it on film this morning, I felt even better about it. I mean, there was a little bit of everything on that drive. The offensive line played well. Kamara looked fast. Michael Thomas was getting double coverage, which opened up, passes to guys like Juwan Johnson and even Keith Kirkwood on the touchdowns. Derek Carr was able to get his progressions. He was accurate, looked completely in command. I thought overall it really was a lot in a 12-play drive. A lot of things, a lot of scenarios kind of popped up, and just a little glimpse in terms of what it could look like. With Derek Carr running the show at quarterback, and it kind of just gave you a little bit of a. He's had a smooth start to camp, and it was pretty good to see. This is the next phase in the training camp to preseason sort of, I guess you call it development, and I guess it was good to see a confirmation of what we've seen first couple weeks of practice.
So the Saints get the touchdown the first drive, but then the defense gets the fourth down stop on Kansas City's first drive with Patrick Mahomes. Which do you think, seeing the success, was more important for the offense or the defense early?
That's a good question. I'm going to go offense just because so much has been put into obviously the addition of Derek Carr and some other pieces and the return of Michael Thomas and the true belief that this offense is going to be much better, this season. It wouldn't have mattered if they didn't start great, but the fact they did start off great, I think it just helped, just kind of, I guess you could say solidify a few things. It's very early. We all know that. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. But I just think given the investment at the quarterback position and the overall just good energy that they've felt all off season and into the training camp portion about their offense, I think that was probably good to see. Because last year defensively, they had a pretty good pass defense. Now run defense is pretty tough. And I thought defensively, especially against the run, they played well, at least early in the game. So I don't want to discount that at all because I think that's huge as well. But I think of those two, I would have to go with the offense.
Speaking of the defense, I was kind of hoping to see more from the top two draft picks, Brian Brzee and Isaiah Foskey. I mean, it's a lot of draft capital invested in your defensive line, and neither recorded a stat. At what point do you start to be concerned about those two guys?
Well, Foskey's not had a good camp, so the fact that he didn't record a stat is not surprising. He's got some development to go. He's not ready. I would beg to differ a little bit on Brian Brzee just because if you look at the first interception with Alontae Taylor, he's the guy that's in the face of the quarterback to kind of force the errant throw, and there's the tip pass, and he got in the game early, I think, in that first passing situation, so he got some first-team reps in that pass rushing situation. He had a couple moments where he was moved off his landmark and gave up a run, but I think all in all, I didn't think it was a bad day for Brian Brzee. I thought he had a moment or two where it looked okay, but both those guys still have some development to do, but in Foskey's case, he's significantly behind where the other guys are at that position. And Brzee's been rotating in with the first team, and I think the rotation you've seen at practice was pretty similar to what we saw in the first two drives of the game.
And Sean Fazan is with us on Twitter at Sean Fazan, Fox 8. I think so often we focus on the rookies because it's their first time out there, and it's always just intriguing to see them. Rookies, and then obviously the free agent acquisitions. The other rookie that would be notable, of course, is Kendre Miller, who left with an injury. Can you give us any type of update on Miller based on what Dennis Allen said or what you may know of or have heard?
Yeah, I mean, there was a report out today that they expect him back by opening week. I guess we'll see. They just signed Darrell Williams, according to one report today. Obviously, you guys know very well. I think it was Nick Underhill that reported that just a few minutes ago or about a half hour ago. So certainly they need some some players in that running back room with, Benjamin going down and obviously Kendre Miller being injured. But certainly sounds like, at least right now, there's some optimism surrounding his injury. And then obviously you have Alvin Kamara who's going to be suspended for the first 3 weeks of the season. So that's certainly something to monitor with Kendre Miller, because I know he had done some things in practice where it felt like he was really taking some strides within this offense. Hopefully he's not out for long and kind of set back his development a little bit, because he's had a pretty decent start to camp so far. So I guess we'll have to wait and see with the severity of that injury.
It was interesting, Sean, because last week they worked out Kareem Hunt. And sometimes I think we do sort of get intoxicated with the big names, and Kareem Hunt will qualify. We saw Zeke today sign with New England. Leonard Fournette is still out there. And so they add Darrell Williams, who's had a nice career, but is certainly no one's going to confuse him for a bell cow back. What do you make, if anything, of the Saints going the route to sign a Darrell Williams instead of maybe a more established lead back type player like Hunt or Fournette or someone like that?
Well, I think they have confidence in Jamal Williams, who I think they're going to, lean on heavily the first 3 weeks without, Alvin Kamara. They need players. I mean, they just need players to contribute in the room. They got practices, joint practices coming up. They got a couple of more games coming up preseason wise. They certainly need some guys that can certainly get some reps. And obviously, we saw, Ellis Merriweather had a nice, finish to the game as well. So I'm sure he'll be, circulated in the mix. The Kareem Hunt situation, that was very real interest. I mean, very real interest. Probably, there could have been a sign. That was just a weird development that had happened with, as you mentioned, a guy that's a premier name. So I think, that could have happened. It just didn't, based off of a bit of a bizarre circumstance. But you got to move on with what's next. And, look, they brought Williams in for the workout. Clearly he did okay to get the contract with the Saints, and we'll see what happens. I mean, like you said, he's had a nice, career for himself, but, I don't expect him to come in and, be the lead back. But I do think there is some confidence in Jamal Williams. And look, if it is true and Miller's status is it's just going to be temporary, he's out, then, he'll come back at some point and get the reps he was normally getting.
Sean, last thing for you. How does this week work with the Saints are playing in LA against the Chargers? They're going to do some joint practices, right? How does this week work compared to other camp week schedules?
Well, they'll have a night practice tomorrow, an evening practice tomorrow here in New Orleans, and then obviously they'll fly out to LA on Wednesday, and on Thursday and Friday they'll do their joint practices with the Chargers. In years past, that first practice was always a little bit more intense. You can't bring quarterbacks to the ground or anything like that, but obviously you're going up against another team, you get some more situations, and it does get a little livelier, and all the players will tell you they get more out of those joint practices than the actual games most of the time, especially the established guys, because we don't know if, how long or if they're going to even play in the second and third preseason game. And then Friday, I guess in this situation, practice 2 is generally a little bit of a lighter workload, and then they have the rest day on Sunday. They do Saturday, they do the walkthrough, and obviously Sunday is the game. It's pretty straightforward. The Saints have done this a couple years before. They've had these joint practices with the Chargers at the facility in Costa Mesa. Pretty nice facility. I know they like it. I know I guess the weather will certainly help out there. So, because it is hot, as you know, down here, Matt. So, all in all, they're looking forward to a big week. And this is a big stretch when you go from that first preseason game into joint practices, another preseason game, more joint practices, and the final preseason game. That's a big stretch to see, have a good, feel about where your team is with, certain players and certain depth pieces. So this is a big stretch coming up here for the Saints.
He's on Twitter at Sean Fazand, Fox 8. Y'all give him a follow. Great stuff as always, man. We appreciate a couple minutes.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, be well. Good stuff there from Sean. So an interesting week as the Saints hit the road for the preseason to take on the Chargers. So as Sean said there, they'll practice tomorrow night, Tuesday night, fly Wednesday, joint practice Thursday, Friday, walk through Saturday in the stadium, and then they'll play on Sunday and then head on home. Final week of the preseason will be in 2 weeks against Houston. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, with, more than 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells services and rents the products that you use to weigh and measure. They are an ISO 17025 accredited laboratory. I say often, if you don't know what that is, you don't need it. If you know what it is, you know why it's so important. I've had so many of you, after I've said that, text me on the text line or tweet me and say, you're right, man. It's critical. We use Michelli for it. So many of you know, of course, in that industry. All the different industries that Michelli serves, from aerospace and aggregates to agriculture, the chemical and petrochemical industry, food and beverage, labs, manufacturing, transportation, logistics. If you need something weighed or measured, calibrated, they do it all. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Log on to the website, see a list of all the services that they offer at Michelli.com. Right there on the homepage, you'll see service and products. Just click the services tab, and you'll see everything that they do. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. All right, it's after further review. Matt House met with reporters over the weekend. We'll get to that here in 15 minutes from right now. And I do want to give you, I'll circle back to some of the stuff me and Sean just talked about there a bit ago with Kendre Miller being injured and the Saints signing Darrell Williams, what that means for the running back spot. I want to get to that in hour number 3. And LSU player availability today. We got to speak to Greg Brooks. I was really interested to listen to Greg Brooks talk about the defensive backfield and that progression, because it started slow in camp for LSU this year, and they've picked it up and hopefully will continue to gain steam as they move toward the opener against Florida State. So we got a ton to do. We're like wall-to-wall football. It's just so good to be in football season and have this much meat on the bone here before they've even played a game. All right, let me knock out a break. Come back. USO will have Tigers in the Pros. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Of course, AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouses.com. Rouses.com. Hey, make sure when you go to the website, Rouses.com, you'll see at the top of the website where it says weekly ad. That's also on the mobile app. So if you download the Rouses app, you'll see the weekly ad. It's a great opportunity to check on their weekly specials. They'll tell you about the grand opening coming up at the newest store down in Homa. Or you can get all those back-to-school specials. You're filling your kiddo's lunchbox. You want to shop affordably for those groceries at home, or for what you're going to be putting in your son or daughter's lunchbox for back to school. They got great healthy options, and they got them affordably. Go to Rouses.com to learn more. Rouses.com, where you can always check out their social media, the Facebook page and all. Mention the 2 grand openings coming on Martin Luther King in Homa, coming up in 2 days. Check it out, Rouses.com. Rouses.com. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints is Rouses. This feels like home.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The best.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
If you weren't here at the start of the show today, we announced our Friends in Low Places Garth Brooks Sweet Tickets giveaway. Our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light have given us 2 sweet tickets for the Garth Brooks Show in the Superdome on September the 2nd, the day before LSU and Florida State play. So, the contest is pretty easy. All the details are on our social media. Go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You'll see it at the 1045 ESPN social media. But it's easy. Just make a video, 60 seconds or less, with you and your friends in low places. And Hunter Picard sent a text. Does the Garth song have to be Friends in Low Places? No, it can be anything Garth. Completely your creative liberties. Just have fun with it. Just got to have a Bud Light in there. And if you make it Garth themed, the idea initially was like Friends in Low Places, like, you know, me and say Terrio, for example. Whatever. Just have fun with it and make a video, post it on social media, tag Mockler Beverage and 1045 ESPN. It can be on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Just go to any of those platforms. You'll see the post there, how to enter. We'll pick a winner 2 weeks from today. So get your submissions in. We'll review them. We'll play the really good ones on air, play all of them on air, and we'll come to a collective decision of who's going to get those 2 sweet tickets for Garth Brooks in the Dome, courtesy of our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light. Okay, Muso. Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Go through some NFL preseason action for you here to start. Got some baseball coming down the pike as well. But Deshaun Bauer made his debut with the New York Giants. 3rd on the team in tackles in their first preseason game. 5 of them. And a tackle for a loss. And a pass defense. Stuff the stat sheet did to Deshaun Bauer. Cordell Flott, also for the New York Giants. 2 tackles in limited action and a pass defended as well. Mike Jones Jr., he is with the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, another one in the NFC South. Mike Jones.
Who?
2 tackles, Mike Jones. Half a sack and a couple hits on the quarterback. I do get it. I get it.
Mike Jones.
Yeah. Who? Mike Jones. Racy McMath.
Because there's a song.
Yeah. There's a lot of songs by Mike Jones, and it's in every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get it?
I get it. Racy McMath, leading receiver for the Tennessee Titans yesterday.
Kidding.
3 receptions for 53 yards and a long of 21 in that one. And I lost the other person I had. Oh, that's because that's the wrong game.
Is that why you were elongating every syllable?
It could have been. Maybe. Damone Clark for the Dallas Cowboys yesterday finished 3rd on the team in tackles for Big D there. 5 of them for solo in that ball game. And how about Jabril Cox also getting some run there in Dallas? 2 tackles of his own in that game. All right, Saints and Chiefs. Really sticking with the Chiefs because Clyde had himself a pretty good day. Limited action yesterday, but 3 carries for 7 yards. And I really made hay in the receiving game as well. 2 receptions for Clyde, 15 yards on those. 13 was his long.
Excuse me. Cali High!
Well, since when have you ever waited for me to finish before you just wedge things in?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just let me breathe.
Moving on to baseball. Paul Skeens, his time in rookie ball is done. It was 1 inning. He has now been promoted as of yesterday to Single A Bradenton.
I cannot believe they're letting him pitch.
Single A Bradenton in the Pirates organization. Paul Skeens' time in rookie ball is done. Dylan Cruz's time in single A might need to be done as well. Okay. Dylan Cruz yesterday went 5 for 5 with 2 home runs. 2 home runs for Dylan. Drove in 6 and scored 4. He's hitting 333 for his troubles. He was the Carolina League Player of the Week. Slashed 414, 468, and 793.
That seems pretty good.
It's not bad.
Not struggling with the transition to a wooden bat.
He's not. We're short on time, but we have to get to this before we leave. Tigers and the pros today. Paul Gervais had himself a day on Sunday. 3 1/3, some long relief for Gervais. 3 1/3, 1 hit, 7 punch outs for Gervais.
7.
Part of a shutout effort for the Cyclones. That's Tigers and the pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. Locations in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge and all of Louisiana goes to get engaged. Hour 3 next.
AFR.
Hey, as we put a button here in hour number 2, quick reminder about Traction and Traction Sports, TractionSports.com. School is upon us. Your son or daughter is in school, and is in particular, I'm talking the moms and dads whose kiddos play winter or spring sports. Because right now is their off season, and right now is the time to get them ready to be their best version for their season. Traction can help. You know, every day when I go in to work out at Traction, there are professional athletes in their off-season training at Traction. Like all summer when I was at Traction, Damone Clark, Ethan Posick, DeShazer Everett. I could run down the list of guys who played at LSU and from all over the country who come here to this facility because of the quality of the trainers, the quality of the facility. Your sons and daughters have that access as well in their specific sport. It's at Tractions, where champions are made. Go to TractionSports.com to learn more. TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The association representing district attorneys across the state says they have a plan in place to challenge the clemency hearings scheduled to begin in October. It could involve a lawsuit filed to block the hearings from happening. Hear more on when they say that could happen in a last-ditch move to keep the state's worst offenders where they are now. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota 4Runner for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Zach Martin's training camp holdout will end. The Cowboys offensive lineman gets a reworked deal that pays him more than $36 million over the next 2 years. The Ravens activate running back J.K. Dobbins off the PUP list today. He's been out with an undisclosed injury. James Harden of the 76ers agreed to pick up his option for this season, believing the team would try to trade him. Those trade talks are now over. Harden says team president Daryl Morey is a liar and that he'll never play for a team that Morey is a part of. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski.
We have seen what James Harden looks like when he's in a situation where he doesn't want to be there. How he left Houston, how he got out of Brooklyn, but also this is a player about to turn 34 years old whose future, especially financially, is very unclear.
Adrian Wojnarowski. Rays shortstop Wander Franco goes on the restricted list today with pay while MLB investigates social media posts regarding his relationship with a woman in the Dominican Republic.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tom. Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Been a busy day already. If you haven't heard yet, Saints have signed running back Darrell Williams. Got some thoughts on that in 15 minutes from right now. Thanks for being here. And, of course, we always appreciate our friends at Relief Windows, title sponsor for our Monday shows. Over the weekend, LSU had media availability at practice on Saturday, and then defense coordinator Matt House spoke with reporters. And I was particularly interested in hearing what Matt House had to say, because coming into this camp, I think a lot of us probably figured this defense, Harold Perkins, getting Mason Smith back, Omar Speights, that this defense would be ahead of the offense, at least initially. And for the first week and a half, it was the exact opposite. We talked about it ad nauseum. Offense really just came booming out of the gates, and the defense has kind of been slowly but surely playing catch-up. And Matt House, when he met with reporters, kind of alluded to that this isn't an overnight thing for this defense, and they kind of knew from jump that this was going to take some time.
We're growing, but by no means are we ready for competition yet. But we're in the process, and I think guys need to continue to embrace the process, all right, and grow every day and show our traits. I'm
not going to bury the lead that everybody wants to talk about, which is the cornerbacks. I think we all know that defensive line is really deep and talented. Everybody's very excited about Harold Perkins. Omar Speights has not missed a beat coming in as a starter at inside linebacker. The question really has been the secondary because of how much success LSU's receivers have had against those cornerbacks. So Matt House was was talking a little bit about the roles there at cornerback.
Guys are still competing for roles at this point. You know, you see good things out of them. What we're looking for is consistency. Day in and day out, exhibiting our traits and really being the guy that you can count on every snap. You know, we've had guys that have flashed. You know, Deuce strung a couple practices together earlier this week. You know, I got to get in and watch the film. Ashton Stamps is growing up fast. Zai has done some good things. You know, we just got to continue to grow.
He mentioned two guys there that I want to elaborate on, which are Deuce Chestnut and Ashton Stamps, because I think when I look at my notes from every practice, after every practice, the thing that is abundantly clear is 22, Deuce Chestnut, is their best cornerback. He's the guy they trust the most. Today, we got to watch them run 11-on-11 and 7-on-7. He had a really nice pass breakup today in the 11-on-11 period. And he's just been the guy that, I'm sorry, it was in the 7-on-7 where he just blanketed Chris Hilton Jr. on a sluggo. And he's just been great. I don't know any way to say it. He's been their best guy. And then Ashton Stamps is interesting because he's a true freshman who was the lowest rated signee in this class. And we fret so much about recruiting rankings. And he's the guy right now that is their third cornerback. Today, when they were running 11-on-11s, you had Deuce Chestnut and Zai Alexander. And when one came off the field to get a breather, they rotated a guy in, Ashton Stamps was the next guy in. So those two guys for me have been fascinating. First, here was Matt House on Deuce Chestnut.
Deuce is a headsy player. And what I have seen is he's got a unique skill set for baiting guys. That's the thing. You can tell Deuce has played football.
And then, and again, not only he's been a 2-year starter at Syracuse where he was all conference. So, I remember it was the show we did at Pluckers, and I remember we were looking at the cornerback room and who might be the one poised to break out. A lot of people, of course, were talking about Denver Harris for good reason. I mean, he was a former 5-star, athletically gifted, all that sort of stuff. But Chestnut's the guy that's done it. You're looking for the guys that have done it the most at the level, and it's Chestnut and Zai Alexander. I don't think it's a surprise why those guys have sort of emerged. But here was Matt House on the freshman Ashton Stamps.
You want to talk about as a staff, I mean, the guy came to camp 3 times to LSU to get a scholarship offer. I think that's all you need to tell about Ashton Stamps. He wants to be here, he wants to be great, and he's not scared of competition. And sometimes that's not always true right now, right? And he's a dude that embraces competition every day.
It'll be really fun to watch the next couple of weeks. And they have some scrimmages coming up, and we'll be able to tell much more when they're going full on 11-on-11, how those rotations are going, who's standing out. The other two guys that I think everybody is going to ask about, that I get asked about all the time, is Harold Perkins and Mason Smith, and it makes the most sense, right? I mean, they were star players, both 5-stars coming out of high school. Mason had the freshman All-America, Harold Perkins had the freshman All-America season, and everyone's looking forward to a bounce back from Mason Smith coming off the injury. First, it's interesting with Harold Perkins mostly because he's moving positions. He's not playing the jack linebacker. He's moving inside and playing inside backer. So Matt House talked about how they're balancing that.
Right now, you're at the process where you're teaching them to play multiple positions, right? And then when you get into a specific game, you see what fits the scheme to stop that team and what he does well. Really, not just for Harold, but all our players. Where you're looking and trying to define roles, you're trying to find things that they could be successful at. What do they do well? What do they need work at? And what do you learn from them? And try to put them in those positions. And that's really what the summer's all about.
It's been maybe the most interesting thing about watching Harold Perkins is we haven't really seen him move. So move positions, I mean. So you hear Matt House saying we're teaching him different positions. What we get to see, Harold Perkins is right there in the middle of the defense. I mean, he's not lining up at that jack spot. Oddly enough, today at practice, when they were running dime packages, we actually saw Savion Smith go in. Again, no Mason Smith on the field. Savion Smith went inside, and Omar Spates moved out and was playing sort of in that nickel role in coverage. So and Chestnut moved back to safety. So it's been interesting how they moved in. I think you would all agree to a person. If you watched LSU a year ago defensively, Matt House put on a master's class in how to be versatile and creative with your personnel because of where you lacked. And look, they lacked on the interior at defensive tackle, and so they had to get creative with how they moved people around and how they got both Perkins and Ojulari on the field at the same time. And they did a really brilliant job with it. I think they're figuring that out again, but it's really helpful when you have star players and elite talent like Harold Perkins with where to move him. Same goes for Mason Smith and sort of the impact of having Mason Smith back and what that's meant for this defense.
As we all know, Mason's got elite size and athleticism for a big man like that. He'd be the first to tell you he's knocking some rust off, right? This is really, if you look at it, the first 8 practices he's had where he's been able to go 11 on 11 for a year. But what you do see is that size and that athleticism. Now, he's just like anybody else. He's got improvement to be made. You know, I think he would tell you right now, if he looked at you, he wants to improve his pad level. Like at times right now, he's playing high.
It's interesting to hear him say, Mason's playing high with a high pad level at times. But I think when you get into nuance, when you're that good of a player, that's whenever you really start to fine tune. And if you want a non-football but a related analogy, I would say look at Paul Skeens. I'm not trying to say he's going to be the first pick or anything like that, but Paul Skeens went from a guy throwing 95 to the greatest season any of us have ever seen because of nuance, right? Because when he got to LSU, he got in the pitching lab, and they tweaked his motion slightly to make him more efficient. And then, of course, he was taking care of his body more, and he went from 95 to 101, and had the greatest season ever. Because that was just playing in the margins. I think the same is true for Mason Smith. When you're that gifted and that talented, something as little as, hey, improve your pad level, which is it's a major thing. I mean, if you're standing right up, obviously, the old saying, low man wins. But when you're Mason Smith, that type of physical ability compensates for a lot that you may miss in technique. But when you get the nuance right, that's when you can be really special. And I think Mason Smith could be really special this year. So it was interesting to listen to Matt House over the weekend talk about this defense here as they're less than 3 weeks away now from the opener against Florida State. And that defense is steady improved since camp started, where it was so overwhelmingly toward the offense. And now you're starting to strike that balance with who's having a good day on the offensive side or the defensive side of the ball. Okay, glad you're bored with us here. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. We're going to knock out a quick break. I do want to go back and talk some Saints when we come back. The Saints, Kendre Miller, knee injury, is going to be on the shelf for a little bit. The Saints added former LSU Tiger Darrell Williams. Nick Underhill reporting that just in the last hour. I want to give you some feedback, some thoughts on that signing when we come back. We're brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. A couple things to remind you about. Number one, we're still getting a ton of calls from that awful weather that blew through a couple of weeks ago. That downed trees, so trees through roofs and all that sort of stuff. In the Baton Rouge area, Oak Hills got hammered. The Preserve at Harveston, we've had so many homeowners there call. But not just that. I want to remind you, to our Lafayette audience, we have boots on the ground in Lafayette. So if you've got any roof issues, we can get to you same day. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hudco was formed 20 years ago, founded 20 years ago in Bossier, but covers the entire state. So no matter where you are, if you're in the 318 or the 337, the 504 or the 225, the 985, we'd love to help you out. If you got an issue with your roof repair, roof replacement, we'd love to help from the smallest residential repair to the largest commercial re-roof. We'd love to help with all of it. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Ask about fortified roofing as well. And in this most recent state legislative session, our legislature passed the fortified roofing bill. So learn more about it, how you can protect your family, how you can save up to 52% on your homeowner's insurance. You heard that correctly. Save up to 52% on your homeowner's insurance with a fortified roof. And Hudco Roofing was our state's first ever Louisiana-based certified fortified roofing company. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. All right, y'all. Quick break. When we come back, Saints sign former LSU Tiger Darrell Williams. Got some thoughts on it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
After the Saints beat the Chiefs, of course, Kendra Miller, rookie running back out of TCU, left that game due to injury. Dennis Allen was asked about that injury after the game, had a very, very, very brief remark. Here's what he said.
He had a knee sprain. We'll have to get some imaging and check it out, but that's really all I have.
So, knee sprain. Kat Terrell over at ESPN reported that, citing sources, anonymous sources, that Miller apparently avoided significant injury, avoided a major injury. That's good to see. And they do anticipate that he'll be ready for the beginning of the regular season, at least as I read it here verbatim from Kat's report. A source said the injury is not considered severe, and Miller could be on track for the beginning of the regular season. Okay. Now, remember, Eno Benjamin tore his Achilles. He's done for the year. And you know Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended for the first 3 games. So where that leaves New Orleans with running backs is you've got, of course, Kamara for now, Jamal Williams, and Ellis Merriweather. Now, we also saw Kirk Merritt move positions from receiver to running back to take carries, but he's injured. So the only healthy running backs you have on the roster right now are Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, and Ellis Merriweather. That's it. So the Saints need bodies, be it camp body just to get you to the starting line, or somebody that's going to be able to provide some legitimate NFL depth for you when the season starts, and you know you're not going to have Alvin Kamara, provided Kendre Miller is back. So the Saints today, Nick Underhill of New Orleans on Football had it first. The Saints signed Darrell Williams. Of course, everybody knows Darrell Williams, former LSU running back who played the first 4 years of his career with the Kansas City Chiefs, won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs in 2019. Last year, played 6 games with the Arizona Cardinals. Was released as a free agent. I had a 1-year deal, so he's a free agent after the season. To this point, had been unsigned, and now the Saints brought in Darrell Williams for a workout and signed him. So let me start with Kendre Miller, and then I'll get to Darrell Williams. So it's a bummer for Kendre Miller, first and foremost. This is a guy that they invested a 3rd-round pick in, who one of the reasons you really like Kendre Miller a lot was his first 2 years at TCU, they really didn't use him much. It wasn't until his 3rd year, this past season at TCU, that he had over 200 rushing attempts. So you look at a young guy who just turned 21 in June. So when the Saints drafted him, he was 20 years old. Like the old adage, like couldn't even legally buy beer. He just made 21, and for his career as a freshman at 54 carries, as a sophomore at 83, and then last year at 224, he basically had as many carries in his entire career as Leonard Fournette had his entire 2015 season at LSU. So, young guy who doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on the body, but did have that knee injury in the Fiesta Bowl, which cost him an opportunity to play in the national championship game. Cost him all the rookie camps and everything, but to this point, it done pretty well. And unfortunately, just had 4 carries for 5 yards in the preseason game. It wasn't a great look. It wasn't a great start for Kendre Miller, but it was a start getting him out there. And so now he's on the shelf, and we hope he's ready to go for week 1. But there's a couple of things at play here, and I might be admittedly reading too much into this, but I found it very interesting that whenever we learned Alvin Kamara was going to miss the first 3 weeks, the Saints went out and were targeting, and then after Eno Benjamin's injury, they went and targeted Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was the NFL's rushing leader in 2017. Like, that's a dude that isn't just a guy who's been a back in the NFL. He's been a number 1 lead back, NFL rushing leader, like a great NFL back in his career. He's only 28 years old. And so when I saw that, the thought was, okay, the Saints aren't just trying to get a camp body. They're looking for someone that can actually help them along in tandem with Jamal Williams. And as a backup, if Kendre Miller doesn't perform, you have someone who's been really good, who can be there and beat Alvin Kamara for 3 weeks, basically. And then maybe more if you need him. Which is why it was interesting for me today that they brought in Darrell Williams. Because in bringing in Darrell Williams, it almost feels like this is a camp body who is the guy who for those first few weeks can be your number 3, can help you on special teams, can be your number 3 if you need him. But what's complicated is if Kendre Miller isn't available, then you're looking at a situation where it's just Jamal Williams and Darrell Williams. And I don't like that very much at all. Now, to be clear, Darrell Williams is an LSU guy. You pull for him, you want him to do well. But when you look at who is available and what the Saints it felt like they were showing you when they were talking to Kareem Hunt, it's dramatically different. So when you look at the free agents that were available, Ezekiel Elliott signed today with New England. In his career, Ezekiel Elliott has 1,800 rushing attempts. Leonard Fournette is still available. 1,100 career rushing attempts. Dalvin Cook, albeit he's going to be costly, but he's still available. Nearly 1,300 rushing attempts. Kareem Hunt has 895 career rushing attempts. By the way, all of these guys are 28 years old. Darrell Williams, also 28 years old with 258 career rushing attempts. Again, I'm not trying to do math with you here. You don't need to remember these. Just understand that Zeke, Fournette, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Darrell Williams, all 5 of those guys are 28 years old. They're all the same age. But the productivity and the workload that they've shouldered in their careers are dramatically different. Like Zeke, Lenny, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt have all been lead backs in the NFL, whereas Darrell Williams has been a rotational guy. So it makes me wonder, why you brought in Kareem Hunt, who's been a dude, clearly kind of showing that's what you were looking for, and that's when Kendre Miller was healthy. Now Kendre Miller's not healthy, and you bring in Darrell Williams, who has really just been a backup rotational piece. So I am either the Saints feel really confident that Kendre Miller will be back and will be able to produce, and I don't know that definitively, or they see something in Darrell Williams here that maybe, I don't know, the rest of the league doesn't, or they're just content to go with Jamal Williams as the bell cow. And then the wild card there is Ellis Merriweather. I'm not going to sit here and hype up the rookie out of UMass, but Ellis Merriweather certainly didn't look lost on the field Sunday against the Chiefs. And he caught what ended up being the Saints' final touchdown, which brought them within a conversion of tying the ball game. Of course, they went for 2 and didn't make it, but beautiful catch in the flat, got into the end zone. He ran the ball hard. He picked up blitzes. I mean, no matter what they asked him to do, running, blocking, catching, he did it all and looked pretty good doing it. So maybe that's another hit that the Saints have found in undrafted free agency among running backs, which they've got a long history of doing from Pierre Thomas and Chris Ivory and a lot of those guys, Travaris Cadet. But I still feel like they need another back here, because right now you've got Jamal Williams, Darrell Williams, Ellis Merriweather. That's it. You got Kamara, but understanding Kamara's going to miss your first 3 weeks. So maybe this is enough to get you through the rest of the preseason. But if Kendre Miller is not available week 1, it almost feels like you've got to be willing to go sign somebody else. So the very cool part of this, on a human level, is here's Darrell Williams, who went to John Ehret, a New Orleans guy, went to John Ehret, played at LSU, was overshadowed in his LSU career by Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis, but was a good back and has had a good NFL career. I mean, now he's into his 6th NFL season now. So, I mean, you make it, what do they say? The average, NFL career is 3 years or less than 3 years. To be now going into year 6, that's a great compliment to Darrell Williams to show that he was certainly worthy of being an NFL back. So a New Orleans guy going to play for the Saints, and that pipeline is really heated up where, a year ago it was Tyron and Jarvis Landry. This year you signed Foster Moreau. You just brought in Jontre Kirkland. Now you've signed Darrell Williams. It's fun. I mean, it's fun to see not only the LSU guys, but the New Orleans guys playing for the Saints. I mean, guys that grew up in that city, rooting for that team, getting to wear that uniform. It's a very cool thing to see. So, and I know everyone's going to bring up the fact that the Saints, would never sign LSU players. The point was always the draft. It was never free. I mean, the Saints signed LSU guys in free agency. Heck, I remember Ryan Baker signed with the Saints in free agency. Matt Flynn signed with the Saints in free agency. They traded for Quan Alexander. I mean, it was always a draft thing. And maybe that'll change. Maybe we'll start drafting more LSU guys. But I've always never really believed much of that storyline. But nonetheless, it is cool. It's very cool to see the New Orleans guys, Tyron, Jarvis, obviously, get to play for the Saints and wear the black and gold. And now Darrell Williams be the next. But I as cool as that is, as much I'm pulling for Darrell Williams, I still have some real reservations about the running back spot for New Orleans right now, because those first 3 weeks, if you're telling me you're going into the first 3 weeks with a healthy Jamal Williams, a maybe healthy Kendre Miller, Darrell Williams, Ellis Merriweather, that's a dramatically different look than Kamara, Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller. Dramatically different. And you're going to need somebody else in there, whether it's one of the big name free agents as mentioned or someone else that we're not aware of yet, but feels like they still got work to do there at running back. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Blue Bonnet, Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey, and Lafayette. By the way, shout out to Kirk Kepper from the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. He was one of the honorees there at the Best Dress Ball this past weekend, benefiting the American Cancer Society. So obviously, what a great event for a worthy organization, the American Cancer Society. One of the best days in Baton Rouge every single year. The wearing of the green parade is on that list, but I would say the Best Dress Ball is there as well. So, you're raising $1 million a night for the American Cancer Society, which is awesome. And Kirk was a great part of that this year as part of the honorees. The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge, and Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. So to all of our folks listening on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, check out our friends at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. You want to look and feel like your younger self, they can help. Simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. Learn more online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. All right, y'all, been a really good show. Appreciate y'all for being here. Otter locks in 15 minutes. We'll find out what we're betting on tonight as the Otter jumps aboard with us. We'll look forward to that. Remember, if you miss anything, you can catch it on demand. AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. All right, well, now I got a quick break. I want to circle back to that LSU secondary. Corey Webster visited with the Tigers this weekend. LSU posted a clip of Corey speaking to the team, to the secondary. We'll let you hear that coming up in just a bit if you missed it. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, it was a great weekend. I know so many of you that were downtown for Best Dress Ball made your way over to the Watermark Hotel and got to see and experience what I talk about every single day here. Baton Rouge's premier hotel property is the Watermark Hotel in downtown Baton Rouge, the old Louisiana National Bank building, the original Louisiana National Bank building. It was actually Baton Rouge's first ever skyscraper. Well, they've converted that building into a gorgeous hotel property. If you're looking for a staycation, and go stay a night downtown Baton Rouge. Everything is walking distance from the Watermark. The Gregory is a great dining experience inside of the Watermark. They've got a charcoal grill inside the restaurant. So when you walk in the lobby, all those charcoal aromas are wafting through the lobby. It's incredible. Also, every weekend, you've got Saturday and Sunday brunch there at the Gregory. Try it out. Have dinner at the Gregory inside the Watermark Hotel, downtown Baton Rouge.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Over the weekend, LSU had a visitor at practice. Former LSU defensive back Corey Webster, who spoke to the defensive backs. And, the DBs have been such a focal point of our conversation here through fall camp. And look, my hand's in the air. Part of the reason that's been a big part of the conversation is because I and the rest of the media have been out there watching practice, and we've noted how much success the receivers have had against the defensive backs. So when you're effectively turning over all of your cornerbacks, and which they are. I mean, Jark Bernard-Converse is gone. Mekhi Gardner, Colby Richardson. I mean, all of the guys that you had there a year ago, the only scholarship cornerback returning from a year ago is LaTerrence Welch. So you make over that room again. You bring in all these transfers, and from jump, it was so overwhelmingly in favor of the receivers. I understand why there was some hesitation, concern about this cornerback room. Well, Corey Webster, who is, one of the greats. I mean, you could really trace the whole DBU conversation to Corey and Travis Daniels. They were the cornerbacks on the 2003 national championship team, and that's what really was the springboard into the DBU sort of era, where you went from those guys to, obviously LaRon Landry, and then Pat Pete came, and Tyron and Mo Claiborne and Thorold Simon, all on down the list that you all know, which became DBU. But you could sort of trace it really to Corey Webster being an All-American, national champion. Obviously went to the Giants and won a Super Bowl, intercepted Brett Favre in his last pass with the Green Bay Packers. And C-Web went out to practice, and Robert Steeples, the cornerbacks coach, you'll hear his voice first introducing Corey. Then you'll hear what Corey had to say to this group of defensive backs.
This is Corey Webster. He's one of the godfathers of DBU. I asked him to come and observe you guys, so he's going to put y'all on game, tell y'all what he saw.
DBU wasn't built off of 5 stars and things like that. You have to drop that ego as soon as you came in the door. I wasn't that. I didn't even play the position for that long of a time. I started it my second year here. Y'all not that far off. It's just the little things that's not being able to happen right now, because maybe you're not sure exactly what to do, or you don't know exactly what the brother left to you, right? Are you doing? Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed to ask for a little help, right? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be embarrassed to ask for help. If they don't want to help you, that's on them, right? Whether that's a coach or whether that's your peers, you understand that? But I think y'all there, man. Y'all just got to find that time to check in. Next thing, zero excuses. I hear little excuses going on, man. Everybody is hurting right now. Not just LSU, but all across the country, right? You need to hear nor there. Figure out if you're sore, if you're hurt, or if you're injured. Y'all got to identify that and not lie about it, right? If you're sore, you got to fight through that. You understand that? But don't be, condition yourself to look for an excuse, man, this hurt, that hurt. We need you, because what happens is if you stop playing, then that put more reps on this guy and more reps on that guy, right? Mental reps. Use them. I don't see us taking advantage of those mental reps. All that walkthrough and stuff, that's the time to get your footwork right. Even when you're doing the punt return team, that's the same footwork. Kick slide, that's what you're working, coach. That's what it look like. But we're not doing that when, coach is not around, right? That's the integrity part of it, right? Take that with you, man. When y'all doing the walkthrough against those guys, as far as the guy that got the red caps on, the managers and stuff like that, treat that as a real rep. Don't be looking for him to brother-in-law you know what I mean? Yes, he's supposed to come and give you that work, right? Y'all are world-class athletes, right? So use that as a mental rep. That's a walkthrough period, but use it as a mental rep to do the little things right. Attention to details. And that's what separates you guys from, the bunch, you know what I mean? Whoever do the little extra. That's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary, right? That little extra in front of ordinary, right? So do the little things better than everybody else, man. I think you guys will be all right, but you're going to have to gel in together, make some sacrifice on your own time to get in that playbook and know it so you can play fast.
I love it. Just on a personal level, Corey Webster's awesome. I mean, since he's come back to town after his playing career, if you've never had an opportunity to talk to Corey, God, just like such a genuinely enjoyable person to visit with. Just a positive, uplifting guy. But I loved how honest he was with those guys, watching him practice. He said, look, DBU wasn't built on 5 stars. Like, you got to check your ego at the door. I mean, I don't want to, I always hate and hesitate to call out a player, but like, I know everybody is talking about Denver Harris, but it's so obvious and Denver Harris was not at practice today, by the way. I don't know anything more than just he wasn't there when we were watching the team period. The portion of the practice we were allowed to watch. But that's a guy everybody asks about because he was a 5-star, and that's a guy who clearly had issues at Texas A&M a year ago, which were maturity issues. Being a knucklehead, doing silly stuff. But sometimes you got to grow up and have that expectation. You heard Corey say, man, ask for help. If you're not sure, don't just assume you get it wrong. Like, speak up and ask. Sometimes it helps to have a guy that was an All-American, a national champion, a Super Bowl champion say that to you. Hey, ask. Zero excuses. And I'm going to tell you, the thing Corey said there, and like when we were watching 11 on 11 last week, I think I might have mentioned this to y'all, but you can, when the media is there watching, so the offense is obviously on one side of the field, defense is on the other, and where we're positioned is the defensive side. Okay, so we're basically, the media is behind the defense. And you can do one of two things. You can either stand there like behind the defense on the ground, or I like to go stand on the top row of the bleachers that are set up there so I can see over the defense. But sometimes, and I did this today, like you go stand down behind the guys so when they come off the field, like you can hear what they're saying. And suffice to say, sometimes when a guy gets beat, he comes to the sideline and he's using some colorful language to explain why he got beat by a cheating this or that and grabbing whatever, But Corey's telling me, no excuses. You talked about the mental reps. I love that, where he's like, hey, look, even whenever you're standing on the side, even if it's punt return, it's the same footwork as when you're backpedaling. Get those mental reps in at all time. And you can just tell it's the type of thing that everybody was bought into. And you know what it screams? I don't know if you agree with this, but to me what it screams is, where's the leader in that room? And I don't know that he's there yet. If you're a young guy and you see senior All-American Corey Webster doing that, it's easy to say, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. I think that's true in anything you do, right? Like whatever industry you're in. Like if you're in sales and you shadow the top producer in your company for a week and you see how much he or she grinds, like how they make an effort to get in that extra call, how when they're in the car, they're always on the phone following up with a client, whatever that is, you're more likely to say, oh, that's what breeds success. I'm going to imitate that. Just, whatever it is in life that you do, when someone who is a top producer or is an alpha sets the example. So I think that secondary right now is waiting on that guy. Like, who is the Pat Pete? Who's the Corey Webster? Who's the LaRon Landry? And I don't mean that in the sense of who's an All-American first-round draft pick. I mean, who's like the best player that's also going to be the really vocal leader? And it's tough when Deuce Chestnut's brand new. Zy Alexander's brand new. J.K. Johnson's hurt, but he's new. Denver Harris isn't out there right now. Guys like Major Burns and Greg Brooks may have to be that. They're safeties, not cornerbacks, and they do split up at times. But maybe that's what it's got to be. By the way, Greg Brooks did meet with the media today. We talk about Andre Sam and like the value he could bring. That's a guy that's brand new as well, man. Just transferred. He's just going through practice with this team for the first time. Wasn't here in spring. So that's why I believe when Matt House says, we're in a growth process. That's knowing where to be on the field, but that's also knowing each other and developing that continuity. And that's something that developed a year ago, because it was the same thing a year ago. And guys like Brooks and Fouché and Jark Bernard-Converse developed into those leadership roles in that secondary. And someone's got to do it. Look, they're less than 2 full weeks into camp. So they're getting there. And hopefully they do get there. But it's pretty clear that's something they got to do. But Greg Brooks spoke about it today, that the secondary is making progress.
I had to talk with the guys today after practice. We got to keep going out there each and every day and try to act like we're the best secondary in the country, which I firmly believe that we are. And we got to keep putting in that work each and every day, playing with confidence each and every play, not just some plays, but each and every play. And I feel like definitely coming along as a unit, and it's showing throughout these practices.
LSU, less than 3 weeks away from the opener against Florida State. They will be challenged, obviously. You got Johnny Wilson out there. I mean, you got Jordan Travis. LSU's going to be tested. That secondary is going to be tested early in the season. Not just that opener, but, man, you've got 2 road conference games with Mississippi State and Ole Miss. You got a home conference game against Arkansas. That's all in September. Just in the month of September. 3 conference games and a top 10 opponent in Florida State. You better be ready to roll come September. All right, we're brought to you by Shawbills. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. Speaking of rolling, Shawbills, we keep you rolling. ShawBillsTire.com. If you need oil change, Shawbills. Need your tires rotated, Shawbills. Check engine lights on, Shawbills. Brakes are squeaking, Shawbills. They'll take care of your car. Whatever you need done. ShawBillsTire.com to book your service. And, of course, if you want to buy tires, if you're looking for tires, no one's going to sell you the best tires on the road at cheaper prices than Shawbills. So go to ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Name brand tires at wholesale prices for more than 50 years. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, been a great show. We appreciate you for being here with us. We got one thing left to do. We got to find out what we're betting on tonight. Jimmy will be here for Otterlock, so pull out your DraftKings Sportsbook app and get ready. We got Otterlock staring you straight in the face on AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling commercial or residential. If you need a realtor, you need Darren James. Of course, you get to agent225.com. That's agent225.com. Or you can call Darren. I'm going to give you Darren's cell number in just a second. I give it to you every day, but if you need a realtor, if you've got your home listed with a realtor, you're not getting results, if you're listing your home for sale by owner right now and you're thinking, man, I really need a realtor, don't worry. You're not alone. 73% of people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor anyway. So call Darren James. Let me give you the number in just a quick second. Hat tip to Darren and his team. Of course, Darren James was named the #1 producer in the state of Louisiana by eXp Realty again last month. If you need the best, you need Darren James. Here's his cell, 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. Again, call or text Darren right now. That is his cell number, 335-7666, or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Outfather himself, Jimmy Otter. How are you?
What's up, Matthew?
Another day, another dollar. Hopefully we got some good stuff to bet on tonight.
Yeah, man. I bet you've been talking good about how Derek Carr and that Saints offense, man, that's as clean.
I am fired up for preseason offenses looking great.
Yes. Well, they were not everybody looked like that. As Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, it was ugly with Denver and Arizona. But anyway, one thing, though, 7 of the last 8 of the games in the NFL preseason went over. It's usually an under.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
But 10-5-1 for the first 16 games, first full week. All right, now we got 4 underdogs trying to split out and gain a little juice here. All right. First of all, you know the deal. Atlanta, 11-game road trip. They played last night. They're coming home. Well, they're on ticket duty. They're on wife duty. They're on kid duty. They're on all kinds of duty. The old angle, first game back, we're taking the Yankees plus $1.65. I'll spend $1.70 on them. Schmidt against Freed.
Okay.
Freed, two starts back. One has been good. One was not so good. So we'll see. Kansas City Royals this month. They were the second worst team in all of baseball, but they're scoring more than 5 runs a game this month. Singer's on the mound. He won for us last time against the Boston Red Sox. He's plus 130 as they host Seattle, and Gilbert, who finally cooled off this past weekend against the Baltimore Orioles. So Kansas City. plus $1.30. I think I found the side. I think 24.
I'm looking at 24. $1.24.
Yeah, at DraftKings.
Yep.
JP Sears versus Michaelis tonight. You may have heard about that 7-2 blown ninth inning lead that Oakland did yesterday.
They were 1 of 2.
Yes, they won. The Sears is back. He actually has a little bit better pitching numbers than St. Louis, especially after losing that 5-run ninth inning lead. A whole lot of people back. This line is way too high. Good pitcher plus $1.85.
1 minute
Oakland
remaining
at St. Louis, and then another
$1.90 at DraftKings, by the way.
Okay, and then Baltimore and Rodriguez. 5 straight starts. He had a rough start to his early career. 5 straight starts. He has lowered his ERA. He throws consistently in the high 90s, and he's lowered those pitches. Man, he has been an effective pitcher lately. They're an underdog at San Diego, and we know that San Diego is one of the biggest underachievers in baseball, and Yu Darvish is going to be a little hot to go. We're going with Baltimore. 4 underdogs, Yankees, Royals, Oakland, and Baltimore.
Fantastic. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
Tomorrow we're at Mike Anderson's.
All right,
the Burnside salad on Lee.
Have a great show tomorrow. We appreciate it. We'll talk tomorrow.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, I almost said game time, Jimmy Ott. That is Jimmy Ott. That'll do it for us. Big shout out Relief Windows. Amuse Paulie, I appreciate y'all. Check out the station social media, how to win sweet tickets to Garth Brooks. We'll see you tomorrow.
AFR.
Brought to you by DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. Y'all, UFC 292 this Saturday. Aljamain Sterling against Sean O'Malley. I am fired up for this bantamweight title bout. It is going to be huge. And, of course, the DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. If you're a new customer, bet just $5. Bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's at the DraftKings Sportsbook app with the promo code Baton Rouge. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Bet $5 on UFC 292 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's this Saturday at the DraftKings Sportsbook. I'll be watching UFC 292. Make sure you are as well. Use the promo code Baton Rouge at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select pairs. Only bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms sportsbook.draftkings.com/MMA. Terms licensed part of Golden Nugget Charles Gaming Prime. Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota Camry for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota Camry for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit